Good evening. Welcome to today's class. Thank you very much for making your time to join us. Today we are going to be having our discussion on finite automata. So we're going to do a couple of questions under this so that we can show how it can be done, and you may be able to practice on your own as well. Right, so let's get right into it. So here we've got the definition of finite automata that we discussed last time. All right, we said it's a collection of three things. Number one, we have got a set of states, right? We have a start state, final states, and neither initial nor final states. Then we've got an alphabet, and we've got the set of transition. Right? Now let's look at the question, right? They're saying, consider the language L defined over the alphabet AB consisting of all words that contain the A, B, or BA substring and end with a BA. So both of these conditions need to be satisfied because there is an end. Right. Part A, write down the shortest way that should be accepted by this finite automata. Right, so write down the shortest way that should be accepted by the finite automata. So the shortest way should contain an A, B, or BA substring and end on a BB. So it should be of length 4, ending with a BB and have an AB or BB. Right. So any one of these should be a part of the language. So we can give AB, BB, or BA, BB. So this should be BA. Right, any of these two words we'll have to do. Right, now, write down the word that should not be accepted by a finite automata. A should not be accepted, B should not be accepted. There are a million possible ways that you can list as not accepted over there. Right, part B, build a finite automata that accepts the language L. Use your answers in A, B to check your solution. So if you want to build a finite automata over there, it's supposed to end, so we've got an initial state, right? So we can either have, we don't have much restrictions there. We can have an A or a B, right? We can have, we definitely need somewhere. So let's deal with this as you are dealing with the shortest words, right? So we can have an A and have a B, can have an A and have a B, and from here, as long as we have got a B and a B, we can go to a final state. And here we can have a B and we can have an A and have a BB go there. Right, so the only time that we can get to a BB is when we are going to a final state. So after we get here, the only time we can come with an A or a B here, as long as we go back there with a BB. Right. So, or rather, if you want to make it, let's do this. So if you have a B, you can go there, right? If you have an A, you have to go all the way that side. Then if you're sitting here, you have a B going there. If you have an A, you have to go back this side, okay? So at this point, you can have as many A's as you want to. So we've got an A and a B going out of an A and a B going out of an A and a B going out, so we should be fine there. So at this point, if you encounter as many A's as you want, you can still sit here, it's fine. And then if you were to have, for example, a lot of B's, you can do that there. So if you start with a B, you needed to have a BA before you go. And so yes, so this would be more like it. So this would be the finite automata. Let's check whether or not all the states have got two transitions for each letter of the input alphabet. Initial has got an A and a B. This state has got an A and a B. This state has got an A and a B. We've got an A and a B. We've got an A and a B. We've got an A and a B. So this is fine as it is. So this is the finite automata for this language. Right. Let's move on to the next question. Build a finite automaton which accepts the language of all words which do not end on a double B, on a double letter. So build a finite automata which accepts all words which do not end on a double letter. So the smallest word accepted is now. Right now does not end on a double letter. A does not end on a double letter. B does not end on a double letter. So this is the shortest word followed by these two and then two letter words. So initial state is also a final state, and you can have an A or a B and you go to a final state, okay? So in a bid to avoid A and B, what you can further do is to say, we can have an A separate and a B separate. So BA. So that if you have, after this B, if you have another B, it's not a final state. If you have another A, it's not a final state. From an A, you can go to a B, which is a final state. From a B, you can go to an A, which is a final state. If you have an A over there, you can go to a final state, okay? But if you continue having B's and you're sitting here, you're going to sit in this loop. Same as A's, you're going to sit in this loop. And once you have a B, you can come back to this one over there. All right. So, so you can have a B and then have, oopsie, so let's not do that. Our B, let's put our B over there, right? Let's put our B over there, and then let's have, if you have an A, because you now have an A going to a final state, so let's rather do it like that. So if you have an A, you go to the final state that is accepting A, so dealing with A. So now we check, we have got initial state and final state now is accepted. A is accepted, B is accepted. We've got two transitions. Here we've got A and the B, here we've got A and the B, got A and the B, here we've got A and the B, okay, here we've got A and a B. So this becomes the finite automata that accepts this language. All right, next one. Modify the finite automata in question 5a so that it, in addition, does not accept words containing AAB substring. Right. So modify the finite automata so that it, in addition, does not accept words containing AAB substring. So we are saying does not contain or no AAB substring. And we also have no AAB substring and not end double letter. All right. So if you've got, if it does not end with an AAB and does not have an AAB substring, so we're saying if you have an A, you can go to a final state. This is initial and also final state. This is also B, which is a final state. If you have an A and you have got an A, right, you go to a non-final state. If at this point you go to a B, right, if you then go to a B at this point, you go to a looping state. So you go to a looping state. Then if you continue encountering A's, right, it means you're going to be sitting there, right? Or generally, no such words. If you start with a double A, right, you're not going to have any input there. So if we have now a B, if we've got a B, then we go to a non-final state. If from a B you then have an A, you can go to this state, right? To a final state. If you have an A and you have a B, you go to this state. So this is a double B. If you've got a B and you've got an A, you go to this state. All right, so let's check if everything is catered for. If you have a B, if you continue having B's, you can chill in this state. right? Up until you have A. So let's see. Initial is final, A, B, 1, 2. This one, A, B. This one, A, B. This one, B, A. This one, A, B. This one, A, B. So after you have a double A, if you have a double A, then that is the end. All right. Next one. Consider the language L over the alphabet defines AB consisting of always that start with an A substring and do not end with a B substring. So the shortest way starts with an A substring and do not end with the AB substring. So A is accepted, is the shortest way, right? Then we're gonna have AA, right? And then we can have A, B, A, you can have A. So those are the ways that are typically accepted, right? But the shortest way is A. I write down the way that should not be accepted by the finite automata. B cannot be accepted by the finite automata. Build the finite automata that accepts all used answers in A, B, check your solution. So we're saying we start, we've got an A that goes to a final state, but ways that start with a B go to a looping state, A or B, right? They do not leave once you get there. Once you start with an A, right, you can have anything that you want as long as you do not end with an AB, right? So if you have got another A, it can be accepted. So you keep having A's, you accept it. But the moment that you have a B, you go to a non-final state. So if you have an A, after a string of A's, you've got a B, you go to a non-final state. And the moment that if you are sitting here, right, if you have gotten A, you can go back to a final state. But then if you have a B, so once you have a B, if you have another B, you can go to a final state, right? If I have another B, you can go to a final state. So after you have a double B, you can go to a final state. From a double B, if you have gotten A, you want to keep on, you want to go back there. If you have a B, you want to keep on in the final state. So if you have an A, you can go. Once you have a single B, you don't go. So now let's confirm that this works out. Initial state, very fine. 1, 2, year 1, 2, year 1, 2, year 1, 2, year 1, and 2. So that becomes the finite automata that accepts such a language. All right. Next one, build a finite automata that accepts a language consisting of all words that have A as the second letter. So we're saying we're going to have, you can have A or B, but the second letter is going to be A, and end with an AA substring or a B. Right. So the shortest word here is going to be AB. And then end with an AA or a B substring. Right. So AB is accepted. Right. So that will be the shortest. Sorry. So it is A as the second letter. So we can have AA. Right. Then it is to end with an AA. So the AA is the shortest word that is accepted. Okay. So after an A, BA cannot be accepted. BA cannot be accepted. It does not end with a B or an AA substring. Okay. So we need to separate this AB. So what we do is we take away the B. So now we have got an adjacent one that goes with a B. If you have got an A and then A, then you go to a final state. If you have a B and then you have got an A, you are not taking a final state, you are not ending with an A. But if you then have another A, you can go to a final state. Right. So now next we go to after an A, right? If the second letter is not an A, if at this point you do not read an A, say you read a B, you have to go to a looping state. A, B. So if you read a B there, you go to a looping state. We are not going to allow such words. So after the second letter, we can have anything as long as we end with an AA or B substring. So at this point, if you were to have a B, for example, then we could also, it could also be accepted, right? So it could also be accepted. final state. Even if I had a B at this point, we could also have a final state. Let's try and put it there first. We'll have a final state. Now, if you're at this B and you encounter an A, but if you encounter an A, the only way that you do not want to mix these two. So if you are in B and you encounter an A, if you're in B and you encounter an A, if you're in B and you encounter an A, you can go there. With another A, go to a final state. With a B, go to a final state. If you're in B and you encounter a B, because B can keep you there, you can stay there, right? So if you're in, after having an AA, if you encounter B, you can go there, right? If you keep on encountering A's, you can stay in this final state. In this case, if you've got, so we seem to have nailed it. So let's look, as we check if it works. So I've got A, I've got B, 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 I've got A, I've got B. So this should be the finite automata that accepts such a language. All right. Next, we look at typical assignment questions here. We've got build a finite automata that accepts the language P consisting of all words with no AA substring. So no AA substring. So if I don't have an AA substring, this is what is going to happen. So now does not have an AA substring, so it is a final state. But B does not have an AA substring. A does not have an AA substring. But the string of B does not have an AA substring. Then once you have an A, you can go to a final state. But the moment you have a double A, you go to a non-final state, right? So since it does not contain an AA, the moment you register an AA, you go to a looping state. If you have an A and you have a B, go to a final state like that. So this becomes the finite automata for the suggested language. Right, let us look now at the last question. Build a finite automata that accepts the language consisting only those words that do not end in AB. Words that do not end in AB. So what do? We have got do not end in AB. So you see that the moment we have got AB, after an A, if you have got a B, go to a non-final state, okay? If you have A's and you've got a B, go to a non-final state. A, B, go to a non-final state. B can, after B's, you can have an A. At the moment you have an A, B, then you go to a non-final state. Right, whether you have an A, you can go to a final state, and the B, you can go to a final state. So this will become the finite automata for the suggested language. Right. So these are some of the questions that we have done. They can also help you in your preparations as well. Right, and since we do not seem to be having any questions, I'm gonna stop here so that you can also go and review these questions. So from me to you today, thank you very much for attending. Enjoy the rest of your evening and have a good night.